Talking about amazing albums. We've had some unfortunate developments and news courtesy of Young Thug. Young Thug has been on the legendary, it feels like, run of leaked phone calls from his time when he was in jail, sitting down waiting his court case. I think, and I didn't actually remember when they detailed it. They basically reminded us all that Young Thug was in jail for 3 years. It didn't feel like it, but that whole YSL Rico case, he had to sit down in jail for 3 years. I didn't know it was that long. For some reason, I thought it was 2. That really explains why. Now I understand why Gunna snitched in a way, because he really wasn't involved. He kind of got caught, blindsided. He really wanted to, get outside and do music again and meet his girl, because that's one of the leaks that come out. Anyway, let me just explain to you what's going on. So essentially, a lot of phone calls that Young Thug made during his time sitting in jail, awaiting his trial, have now been leaked to the public. And a lot of these phone calls don't paint Young Thug in a good light. A lot of these phone calls are Young Thug essentially manipulating a lot of people in Atlanta to essentially turn their back on Gunna. And it feels like because of jealousy, it feels like because he's also really pissed off that Gunna basically left him in the lurch in prison there and snitched straight away without really consulting him or kind of holding him down, that sort of thing. Because they were obviously once really close friends. But either way, it kind of exposes Young Thug for being a bit of a snake, He talks bad about a lot of people behind their backs, people that he's kind of close with, Atlanta legends, fellow artists and stuff. And it's really kind of disheartening to see. And a lot of it, you could probably say, would fall under the remit of snitching, especially after that, video came out of him in the interrogation room. Well, no, an audio clip of him in the interrogation room in 2015, where he's volunteering up a lot of information regarding stuff that's happened, putting people in jeopardy, putting people's fucking freedom in jeopardy and shit. It's been pretty tumultuous couple of days for Young Thug, to be honest. I think his reputation and his stock is way down. Fortunately, he's a musician, so as long as he puts out good music, it will kind of make people won't give a shit. But still, one of the really interesting developments to come from another leak that just dropped the other day was this leak courtesy of Kuroku. The title says Young Thug says he allegedly spent $50,000 on fake streams on Gunna's DS4EVER for it to debut at #1 over Weekend's Dawn FM. And Dawn FM, you know how much I like that. So, Dawn FM still fucking slaps this day. So I didn't even know DS4 fucking was a #1 album. I had no idea, Like Gunna's got an incredible fucking catalog. Anyway, Young Thug alleges that he spent 50k on bots to ensure that Gunna got that #1 spot. So let's play the clip, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on the other side.
Trying to do other shit. When he did his 2-album deal with me, Cash called me one day like, "Hey, what the hell going on with Gunna? Who's speaking for him?" I'm like, "Why?" I'm like, "Oh, nah. He trying to get signed right here with Weekend signed it, and he demanded he want 20 million."
To be fair, look, considering Gunna's sound, I think he'd fit really well in XO. Could you imagine Gunna and the Weekend mixtape? Like sonically, they'd actually fit really well together. It's actually a shame it didn't work out, but I'd love to have seen what that would have looked like, what direction they would have taken Gunna in. Because obviously, XO is a little bit more commercial, especially with Weekend being the main artist on there. I'm not even sure who else do they have signed over there. I don't actually know, but regardless, anyway, just in terms of an outlet, an institution, a brand, a platform, a label, I would have really liked to have seen Gunna over at fucking XO and seen what he would have done. Now he's free, obviously, because he's not on YSL Records anymore. He turned in his last one the other day. I'd actually be curious to see if we end up hearing some of that stuff, Weekend and Gunna music.
Whoa. So I already told him, like, whatever you want, just say it. I'm gonna give you the money, whatever you want. Just on some we brother shit. Like, I know you can't go nowhere in this world and get no $20 million check from no label. You're not doing numbers like that. You alright, but you ain't doing that like that. Like the #1 album you just had right now, I paid for you to have a #1 album. You didn't, you know what I'm saying, honestly earn a #1 album over the Weekend, my boy. I paid for that shit.
Damn, son. Damn. I shouldn't be surprised though, right? Because I remember hearing somebody say, like, people like the Post Malone, Ariana Grande, all the big stars buy bots. And I guess if you're a bigger star, if you're Justin Bieber, if you're a Post Malone, if you're a Taylor Swift, if you buy streams, if you bought your streams, whatever it may be, basically botting streams, you know what it is. It's just artificially inflating the amount of people that actually play your stuff to make it appear like you're bigger than what you are, get better placements on playlists, push you out there more. You know, it's just all just an image thing. Fake it till you make it. But if you're already an established artist, no one's going to bat an eyelid that you fucking botted 1 million views or 1 million plus streams. If you're a smaller artist, it's a bit more noticeable. But what this has proved to me, and this is something that I'm kind of coming to grips with, is that the whole game is kind of rigged, isn't it? If you think about it, right? No one's really playing fair because the game isn't set up to be fair. Everyone bots, right? Everyone's faking things. Everyone's putting out a better kind of, you know, sort of like tweaking their, or purposely sort of like painting their image to be one way, to appear one way, when really it's the other way behind the scenes. And it was making me think, like, on my side of things, when it comes to content, maybe I've been missing a trick in terms of not buying views, not buying plays, not buying likes, not buying followers. Maybe other people in my position would have done that super fast so you could make yourself look a certain way. You still have to spend money to do it, but I think that might be the way to go. You know, I think I've really fucked up by basically trying to play it honest, because I think if you play like either way, I think there's no shortcuts. In my opinion, this is a strange way to go around it, but I don't think there's a shortcut. Even if you buy streams, you still have to put the work in to keep up, you know, your grind and your artistry and shit. But what he's basically doing is that you're trying to kind of, you know, you're trying to give yourself that little pop, because getting a #1 album on Billboard can really change the trajectory of your career. It can give you different looks. It can put you in different places. It can put you in different rooms. It can have you in different conversations. So it's less about the monetary gain and more so what it does for your name and your brand. So I'm wondering, maybe, did I miss a trick by not really early on, when I started doing content, when I started recording podcasts, when I started doing stuff, when I started uploading mixes on SoundCloud, I never did any of that stuff. I never bought a play, I've never bought a view ever in anything I've ever done. And I'm wondering if maybe I really fumbled and I should have done that in the beginning. Now it's obviously going to be noticeable because I'm talking about it a lot and shit. It's going to be very obvious. But I wonder if I really fucked up. But then I think about it, maybe I haven't fucked up, because people like Russ is a good example. Russ the rapper is like, I think he mentioned it on her Twitter recently, actually. Let me actually get it. I think that's the one. That's the one? No, that's the one. No, not that one. There's another one. There we go. Yeah, that's the one. So this is the one that Russ was talking about that I thought was really, that resonated to me a little bit and made a lot of sense in terms of his career. This is Russ.
Like, I don't look at myself like mainstream. Like, you can't, I don't think anyone would put me in the same category from a mainstream perspective as Travis Scott, Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar. You know what I mean? Like,
you're selling out arenas.
But I sell out arenas as if I was.
Right.
And to everyone watching and to any artist, it's because the message and the melody. Melody is universal and message is universal.
Yeah.
If you put a positive message in a beautiful melody, you'll be a huge global star.
So I agree with him, but the thing that I wanted to more pinpoint on was the fact that he doesn't, you know, no one would think, like you said, no one would think of him in the same category as those big artists he mentions, but he sells out the same type of arenas that those artists play, as you can see via this clip of him in this massive arena with everybody just there to see him. It's not a festival, it's not nothing, it's just a headlining show, him playing as a massive festival somewhere. So it got me thinking, like, maybe what I should have, maybe obviously buying the views is one thing and it kind of helps, but maybe the good thing is doing this the long, slow way, the way I'm doing it now with the grind that I'm doing, is that in the end, because I haven't gone down the route of artificially bumping up my numbers will be reflective of what my actual audience is, you know, in the end. And it will kind of pay dividends, because it'll be people that are really locked in, people that really fucking give a shit about what I have to say for whatever reason, and so forth. Whereas if you buy the views, buy the followers, those people don't really exist, and you're kind of playing to nobody. And when the time comes for you to put on a show, you'll get a real idea about how less people you really have. You know what I mean? That's when things get really shaky with these artists. But it's kind of crazy to see that basically across the board, everybody buys views. That's a really surprising thing about this clip of Young Thug talking on the phone. He said he put 50,000 of fake bots and shit on Gunna for him to get the #1 album. And we all think Gunna's like one of the premier artists in Atlanta, one of the premier artists in hip hop in general. And he's incredibly talented, very, very versatile, as he's proven ever since he's kind of come out of jail and kind of stepped away from fucking Young Thug and stuff. And even he has to have views bots bought on his stuff. So the game is so rigged nowadays that the only way to compete with all these big dogs is to bot. There's nowhere else to compete unless you're gonna go the slow grind, which no one wants to do. Like as we've seen with Ozempic and shit, no one wants to do the slow grind because it's just a slow grind. It's like trying to build like a YouTube channel from now, an Instagram presence from now. It's very difficult to grow your presence online. It's so hard. You have to post consistently. You have to put yourself out there all the time. It's fucking annoying. So I get why people just start, you know what, I'm just going to buy a pack and get it done. But then in the long run, it ends up hurting you. That's the only problem with this sort of stuff.
Never said that to him. I never told him that. You know, cause we just got the plug on that. Like, you never earned the #1 album. I spent 50 extra grand buying motherfucking streams, $50,000 buying streams for you to be weak. Like, and Cash know the same plug, so Cash could have did the same thing. But Cash like let it go. Cash is like sat down, like, man, let the nigga on the win. I ain't starting shit.
So now we found out that Weeknd also buys views, or bots his streams as well. Look at Young Thug snitching on absolutely everybody.
Sat down like a player, you know. But he did a little deal. He got some little signs for a little nigga from his hood, whatever. Did the same shit, but he did a deal where he took their money. So these niggas, some young niggas too. These niggas like 17, 18, like real kids, baby. The oldest one of them probably be 18. The oldest one, no, probably about 20. The oldest one probably be 20. It's like 5 of them. They probably like 16 to 20. Man, these niggas ain't got no song. These niggas ain't popping. Nobody in Atlanta ain't heard of them. They done did like 3-4 shows in the city in 2-3 years. Like these niggas done had 3-4 shows, and they shows be like goddamn $5,000. You know, it's on the behalf of Gunna and all that shit for sure. Like the show. Niggas booking you just cause they like, oh, they Gunna new artists, they upcoming, they Gunna new artists, but they ain't got no song, they ain't put no music out, no nothing, they just doing shows. So these niggas like, man, we got a show coming up in about goddamn 3 weeks. We got a show coming up in 3 weeks. We want to put a song out so we can perform it at the show, cause we ain't got no song out. So we put the song out, fun the little niggas and shit, whatever. These niggas go do the show. This like, man, nigga take goddamn $2,500 from the young niggas. I'm like, man, nigga crazy.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, nigga, you know you signed to me and you make millions of dollars. I ain't never took $1 from you. Why the hell would you ever in your life accept $1 from these young boys, bro? These niggas kids. What the hell you finna do with $2,500, bro? Like, you finna make 5 young niggas split $2,500? You supposed to let all them get $1,000 fee, bro. What the hell is wrong with you? $2,500 ain't finna do nothing in the world for you, boy. He like, well, that's a deal they got. I'm like, well, hell, got your mind fucked up, boy. You losing your sanity. Like, well, that hoe got your mind fucked up.
So I'm gonna play the whole clip, but essentially, there's more of this, and the more you listen to it, the unfortunate nature of it is that Young Thug's going out really sad, but there are parts of it where you can tell how big of a heart he has and why he's seen as the leader. Why people kind of defer to him a lot, because he is quite business savvy. He's kind of got his, maybe it's the way he raps or the way he comes across, but I didn't expect him to be that knowledgeable, that clued in when it comes to the money side. I'm sure maybe some of his quote unquote, extracurricular activities may have helped with his business acumen, but he's pretty on top when it comes to the money side. There's a really endearing phone call that I heard where he's talking to Mariah the Scientist, and he's basically bemoaning the fact that Lil Baby might have dropped the ball. Because according to Young Thug, Lil Baby was approached by Hypebeast for them to purchase his masters, right? His catalog. You know how a lot of these big hedge funds, investment firms, and streaming platforms, whatever, right? There's these companies out there that are now buying a lot of artists' catalogs and shit. I think recently Justin Bieber sold his. So somebody approached Lil Baby for the same sort of thing, and Lil Baby was kind of, he kind of got cold feet. He kind of wasn't sure about the deal. Then eventually that same company just kind of jumped over Lil Baby and just went directly to QC, which is what the record label Lil Baby signed to, and they ended up buying all the masters or QC's entire library, catalog and shit, which included Lil Baby too. And I think they purchased it, according to Young Thug, for $375 million. Now, Young Thug is on the phone to Mariah the Scientist, basically saying Lil Baby fumbled because he could have worked out a deal to sell a portion or to sell his whole catalog for like 175 million to this company, but he didn't. Then the company went over him and just, bought the masters entirely from QC. But he was pissed off because QC weren't splitting the money with Lil Baby, and he was like, "Oh, Lil Baby deserves that because he's literally the only lit thing in that on that label at the time, right?" I think it was only really him, Lil Yachty, really, not really the Migos because they weren't really making music then at that time, even before Takeoff Steps, and then maybe the City Girls, but they were going through their issues too. So he was like, Lil Baby's the sole reason, he's the main reason why the lights are still on there at QC, quality control. And he said basically if he was P, the person in charge of QC, or one of the people in charge there, Coach P, sorry, he would have taken that 375, bust it down and broke off Lil Baby a big portion of it. Because he's the one bringing all the money and bringing all the fucking eyes and streams in and shit. And that was a really endearing thing. Like, he was kind of pissed off at his friend for like, yeah, man, you fumbled, man. You should have fucking called him back. You should have got the deal done. If that was me, I would have made sure I gave everyone everything and left with the least amount. Like, you can tell he's got a big heart in that respect. He wants to put everyone in position. But he's also the kind of person, from the phone calls I heard, the kind of person that wants you to know they did them a favor. No, he's the kind of person that he wants you to know that he did you a favor. And he wants you to acknowledge it and he wants you to thank him, that kind of thing. So he's obviously doing it not for monetary gain, but mostly for the thanks and the positioning and shit of like, okay, cool, I'm the favor maker. I'm the person that gets people bags. I'm the person that gets people good features that change people's. I mean, he kind of enjoys that sort of role, which kind of, makes him a bit manipulative and whatever else it may be. But I just can't understand why these phone calls exist. I'm not going to lie. But I get it. If you're spending 3 years in jail, maybe you get bored. But for me, if I'm spending 3 years in jail and the case is looking crazy at the time, right? They were saying that YSL were responsible for the uptick in fucking murders in Atlanta. And then when they all got locked up, the murder rate dropped and something. Like, they were really, really, really causing havoc over there. So if that was me and I was probably facing some football numbers in terms of, prison sentences, luckily, that didn't happen for Young Thug. I'd just be focused on my case. I'd be focused on getting my mental right. I'd be just like zen, But for some reason, Thug was on the phone, like, talking about, like, brother, man, so much yapping, so much involvement, you were so attentive and everything was going on, making sure people knew that he didn't fuck with Gunna, putting out a narrative, that this and that, when to drop the album at the same time. It's like, brother, you got other stuff to worry about. Why are you worried about this shit? That's the thing that confused me in the whole thing. I was like, why is he worried about this shit? And obviously the fundamental thing that I was perturbed by, why were they talking about these things over jail phones? Do these guys think jail phones are private phones or something that can't be like ever unsealed and like released to the public? Some people are alleging that most likely this is Gunna's team that are putting this out because Young Thug came out, instead of just being different and changing his life and going a different direction like Gunna did. Young Thug came out on some like Mr. Super anti-rat kind of thing, and obviously kept talking bad about Gunna, and I'm assuming that's obviously affecting Gunna's pockets too. So somebody very smart in Gunna's team decided to strategically unseal some of the court documents, unseal some of the fucking evidence, and basically put it out there. Some of these phone calls that make Young Thug, seem a little bit hypocritical, because if you're cussing out, or if you're saying Gunna should be cut off because he's a snitch, then you should be cut off too because you definitely snitched in that 2015 fucking video phone call. But regardless, it was cool to hear again some of the business aspects of it, and it's just unfortunate to hear this side of things where essentially all the best artists, everybody in music now is basically botting their views. So if you like music, just listen to stuff that you enjoy, but don't ever go to listen to stuff because it's been played the most, because some of those plays, some of those views are definitely not real. They're definitely not real.